Good morning. What up, Dan and Amy? So you thought James Carville's conspiracy theory was fun? KGB, GOP.
You know me.
Working with Jim Comey, who's the Manchurian candidate for the Putin-Trump ticket. I mean, that's essentially what Serpent Head was spewing. You haven't heard anything yet. Robin Lakoff is a professor of linguistics at the University of California, Berkeley.
Oh, is he?
Robin.
She, I'm sorry.
She is also the author of the book You Will Not Read, Language and Woman's Place.
Wow. Really?
Yeah.
I already read it.
Really?
Yeah.
What'd you think?
I loved it.
Wow, that is a
I let you borrow my
textured
copy.
review. Here's her take on this. Boy, the Hillary surrogates are getting a little far afield, aren't they? Here's what Professor Lakoff writes. The only reason the whole email flap has legs is because the candidate is female.
Oh, so this is about gender.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
This is in time.
I should have seen this coming.
This is in time, Robin Lakoff, future Time Woman of the Year. Can you imagine this happening to a man?
Yeah.
Yes, I can imagine this happening to a man. Signed, 4-star Marine General James Cartwright, who just pled guilty to misusing classified information. I can't imagine it. A decorated military official, no less. Clinton is guilty of SWF.
SWF.
Speaking white female. And Emailgate is just a reminder to us all that she has no business doing what she's doing and must be punished for the sake of all decent women everywhere. There is so much of that going around. She's being persecuted because she's a woman. This is your modern left thinking, friends and neighbors. Take it all in. And while you take that in, let's go to an informed woman who writes cogent arguments. Her name is A.B. Stoddard. She is associate editor of RealClearPolitics.com. She's also a columnist there. And she actually has an interesting, serious piece, to contrast it with Professor Lakoff, about this email investigation being reopened, called Clinton Owns It All. And A.B. Stoddard, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
So, Clinton owns it all. She in Ohio yesterday, she kind of disagrees with you. Seems like she wants to own 25% of it. Will you take 25%?
I think her problem, just like Donald Trump's Access Hollywood tape coming out 5 days before these women started accusing him of the very behavior that he described on the tape, is that she has all of this stuff that she's already done. So now the WikiLeaks stuff comes out and confirms that the foundation, was basically integrated with her State Department work among her top aides. And they, write about cynical plotting to confuse voters over Benghazi and the email scandal. And it's all really repulsive. So by the time you get to Friday and you hear that the FBI has found even more emails that are missing, that they might have to, that they're reopening the case, it's death by a thousand cuts, and she just can't. She can scream and shout about the timing or the way that James Comey did this, but there were 33,000 deleted emails, and if they keep turning up in other places, that's her fault.
Well, what are you knowing? I mean, we had a guest on yesterday that said they had 650,000 emails on this laptop that Weiner and Uma shared. And that I know they're combing through those emails right now, but have you heard anything from any of your sources about what they're finding?
No, that's the problem is they're being very vague about what they're finding, and they're not actually confirming that. I mean, those could be, Anthony Weiner on Match.com, or I don't know what.
We don't even know.
Too nice a site for him.
Right?
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's the problem, is that we actually really don't know what they are, and actually when Clinton in her campaign calls for the full, public release of them, she knows that they can't do that until they've sort of reached a conclusion, that they can't just sort of barf them out there. So it makes her look good and it makes her look transparent to call for that, but she knows that they can't do that. And so I think they're running, their crazy algorithms and trying to look for specific threads. so that they can determine, which ones are his or hers, which ones are, maybe regarding classified and not like blow dry appointments. And I think everyone's just really in the dark. And that's why it's really bewildering. And meanwhile, these, pretty high-level Republicans have come out and taken Clinton's side, which gives them a lot of fuel in the meantime to keep the focus on Comey. I mean, when you have Senator Grassley of the Senate Judiciary Committee, you have Jim Jordan, like the Freedom Caucus guy who's been on the Benghazi Committee leading the charge, against Hillary Clinton, and Alberto Gonzalez, former AG of the Bush White House, saying that Comey was out of line. It gives them gas in the car to keep this up as this kind of, unorthodox, questionable political attack on her for days to come. I don't know that it's going to help her, but it's what they'll do.
Doesn't it incentivize Jim Comey to call her bluff, though, as well, or to call the collective bluff and to say something about what they find when they find it prior to Tuesday?
That's so interesting. I mean, yes, I one side of me thinks that's what he might do. But then there is another side that, when you talk to people about the role of an FBI director, I mean, his role is actually to be silent. So if he's gone this far, does he keep going far, or does he retreat under pressure to you as an FBI director? You're not allowed to tell the public what cases prosecutors would take up or not. That's the purview of the Justice Department. He was out of line on July 5. He's out of line now. He's under a lot of pressure for that. So I don't know. I mean, first of all, anything can happen in 2016. I have no idea what's going to happen in the next 7 days. Clinton could win in a landslide. She could lose. I have no idea what's going to happen in terms of the impact this has. But it doesn't pass the laugh test that she's, going to try to blame this on Jim Comey. That said, I don't know how much internal pressure he is under to sort of, try to kind of clean up the stain on the FBI. Remember, this investigation, they didn't impanel a grand jury. They didn't search her home. I mean, there's a lot of questions coming on background and off the record from FBI agents about the way Comey looked like he fixed it for her.
Yeah, speaking of
I really can't trust him. I have no idea what his next move is going to be.
Speaking of protocols, the things that weren't done that are normally done in such an investigation, and also there's this in terms of the kind of the political accusations. Well, look, Loretta Lynch could have not whispered. She could have directed him not to do this. She could, President Obama could ask for his resignation or fire him straight away. They're making political calculations, too, that any removal of Jim Comey would create even more of a political firestorm potentially, and so they don't want to do that. But that's certainly within their purview if they thought he was derelict in his duty.
Oh, absolutely. But the White House, I mean, Josh Earnest, the press secretary, spoke for the president yesterday and said that he still has this confidence and he's a man of integrity and on and on. So
kiss of
I don't
death.
think he's going to get fired in the next 7 days. And I think that, you might be right, that your premise might be correct, that, a loose Jim Comey is more dangerous. But Jim Comey still does care about his reputation, and he's making a lot of calculations. That's obvious. So, doing what you suggest is not entirely impossible. I mean, he's been kind of freelancing. So he might. I mean, maybe he just doesn't tell Loretta Lynch or President Obama and just comes out with, like a semi-finding about the nature of the emails and why they matter in an ongoing investigation about either misuse of classified or Clinton Foundation corruption. Nothing would surprise me at this point.
So we have 7 days into the election. Does Hillary Clinton change her strategy, or does she keep acting like the victim here on the campaign trail, saying, I don't know why he did this. I was cleared in July. This could be politically
motivated. There's no case, right? Mm-hmm.
Well, what she's trying to do, and, she acts like the victim, and Donald Trump does all the time. I mean, he does a good crybaby routine, and what it does is it fires up your base. So when he tells everyone in his rallies that the New York Times is unfair and blasts the story that the New York Times does, meanwhile never asks for a correction. Many New York Times investigations and Washington Post investigations have passed where he never asked for an actual correction because nothing's actually factually wrong, but then he blasts the thing and says it's all unfair and they're out to get him, and it rallies his base. She's trying to attempt that on her side. She's trying to tell Democratic voters they're just trying to, throw it to Trump and they're out to get me and it's totally unfair and they don't even have any, they don't even know what's in the emails, and it's an attempt to get everyone to rush to the polls and early vote and try to support her. because she sees her lead eroding, and it was actually eroding before last Friday in several polls. So it's a classic move. You tell your base the whole world's against you. It's worked for Donald. It's going to work for Hillary in some places, but we see by the Washington Post ABC News tracking poll today, which is Trump 1 point up, that she's definitely gone from landslide forecast to an even race. So I don't know that it will work, but it's what you do. You say "poor me," and you hope that your base rallies around you.
She is A.B. Stoddard, associate editor and columnist at RealClearPolitics.com. A.B., thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Let's take a call. How about Trent in Orland Park? You're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. Just wanted to make one quick point. What everybody, I think, doesn't quite realize is that with Uma Abedin, who probably logged into Hillary.com or whatever the Southside email server is and downloaded a copy of every single email that probably spans back 4 or 5 years, everybody has a signed affidavit now of saying, I've already turned everything in. There's nothing else out there. This is the second copy of some bookie's real book. This probably blows off everything to say, everything that we said to you, we kind of lied about. So I don't think people quite understand the weight of finding something like this so important.
Thanks for the call, Trent. I mean, this is
especially after she turned over the 2 laptops and the BlackBerry, and then the FBI started investigating Anthony Weiner because he's sexting an underage girl, and find, look at what we have here.
Right.
And he claims it got on there because he was backing up Uma's smartphone.
But this is just speculation. But the speculation is 33,000 emails that disappeared that Hillary wanted off of her private server, wanted, bleach bitted out of existence. Perhaps they were preserved by Uma. I mean, her closest confidant.
Maybe.
As she's at State, she's at the Clinton Foundation, she's at that Doug Band executive consulting money laundering operation for Bill Clinton's speaking fees. She's a consultant there too. She's everywhere Hillary is. Hillary's shadow, as she's called, right? Mm-hmm. And could she be the repository of the full book, as Trent from Orland Park is saying, the real books?
But then
don't know, but it's an interesting question.
There's a possibility too that they could be emails on there that the FBI's already seen.
Well, it could be a combination of the two. But the initial indication was new emails in addition to perhaps some duplicate emails, but the new emails, that's what we're talking about.